Mason had just moved into a cheap basement apartment in Boston. It was old but affordable and quiet. The walls were thick, the neighbors barely audible, except for the vent. It ran above his bed, part of the building's old central ventilation system. The landlord had warned, "You might hear some noises, just old pipes and airflow, nothing unusual." But what Mason heard wasn't pipes. The first night, it was faint whispering. He couldn't make out the words, just a tone, like someone murmuring a secret directly into the metal. He recorded it, played it back the next day. Still nothing clear, just a dry, hushed sound. By the third night, the whispering had rhythm, like a sentence. A voice, raspy and low. "Don't turn around." Mason froze in bed. Didn't move, didn't look. The next morning, he unscrewed the vent cover, shined his flashlight inside. Just dust, cobwebs, and a tooth, small, human, lying at the bottom of the shaft. He told the landlord. They sent maintenance, said they found nothing, replaced the cover. That night, 3:11 a.m., his phone buzzed. Voice recording. Auto-triggered. He hadn't touched it. He opened the file. Same whisper. "Closer now." "That's better. Don't look." The next night, he moved his bed to the living room. But at 3:11, the whisper came from the wall. Samuel was a retired school teacher who moved into a small flat in North London after his wife passed away. The building was old, red bricked, and quiet. Narrow hallways, thick walls, and barely a sound from the neighbors. He was placed on the second floor, Unit 6B. The first week was uneventful, almost too quiet. He never heard footsteps, voices, or doors. The only thing that stood out was a faint metallic sound, like something dragging slowly across the floor. It always came from the unit next door, 6 Ampere. One afternoon, out of curiosity, Samuel knocked on the door of 6 Ampere. No answer. He waited. Just as he turned to leave, he heard it. The sound of a lock turning quietly from the inside. Someone was in there. Later that day, he asked the building manager, "Excuse me, does someone live in 6 Ampere?" The manager shook his head. "Number. Been empty for years. The windows are sealed shut." "Why?" Samuel lied. "Just thought I heard movement. Probably the pipes." The manager gave a tight smile. Not warm, not sincere. Almost um, wary. That night, at around 2:50 a.m., the dragging sound came again, louder, clearer. A chair slowly scraping across wooden floorboards, then it stopped, followed by a long, deep exhale, right behind the bedroom wall. Samuel placed his hand against the wall. It was freezing, and worse, it throbbed lightly, as if someone was breathing from the other side. The next morning, he found a small note slipped under his front door, but it wasn't addressed to him. It was written in shaky handwriting. "Please stop moving at night. The noise keeps me up." The note was meant for Unit 6 Ampere. A few nights later, a power cut hit the building. Samuel lit a candle and walked around. Then he saw it, a thin line of light glowing from beneath the door of 6 Ampere. He stepped closer. Inside, shadows danced, flickering like candlelight, and then a figure moved behind the door, still watching. Then came the voice, calm, male, cold. "You took my place." After that night, strange things started happening. His chair would slowly move by itself. Objects would shift while he slept. One morning, the bathroom mirror was fogged up, and in the mist, a sentence appeared, traced by a finger. "Leave, before I arrive." The last trace of Samuel was a recording left on his phone. 3:13 a.m., heavy breathing, the dragging of wood, then a voice whispering directly into the mic. "Now it's your turn to be quiet." When police entered the flat, they found no signs of violence. No Samuel, no body, Nothing except a wooden chair, dragged from the living room and placed right in front of the shared wall with Unit 6 Ampere. On that wall, faintly written with a single finger, next to Unit 6C. Jason was a IT technician at an ad agency in New York. Every day he took the elevator to the 14th floor where the office was. One evening on his way out, the elevator lights flickered. There was a quick power glitch. The display blinked and instead of 14, it suddenly showed 13. Jason froze. This building didn't have a 13th floor. Like many others, it skips from 12 straight to 14. The elevator stopped. Ding! The door slid open. What he saw was a narrow hallway, gray walls, no signs, no labels, dim yellow lighting, and the air felt dead, like sound had been swallowed. Cautiously, Jason stepped out. His footsteps didn't echo, nothing did. No numbers on the doors, just one door at the very end, slightly open. Inside, a bare room, a single wooden chair in the center, and a tall mirror against the wall with a long crack running through the middle. But the strangest part? The reflection. It wasn't moving. Jason waved his hand. Nothing. Tilted his head. Still nothing. The reflection just stared back at him, frozen. He turned around, ready to bolt. The elevator doors had shut. Then, a sound behind him. He turned. The chair in the center was now facing the wall, and in the mirror Jason was gone, replaced by a version of him. Same face, same body, but darker eyes, completely black, and smiling. Then came a low voice. Not from the room, from the mirror. You took his place. Now he takes yours. The lights flickered. Jason ran, but the hallway had changed, twisted like a maze. The building felt alive. He finally found the elevator button, slammed it. The doors opened, he dove inside. Just before they closed, a thin pale hand slowly reached out from the far wall at the end of the hallway, then vanished back into the dark. Jason reached the 14th floor, breathing heavy. Everything looked normal. Coworkers were still there. But then someone said something that made his stomach drop. Didn't you used to have brown eyes? And weren't you wearing a different shirt? That night at home, Jason stood in front of his mirror and watched as his reflection smiled back 1 second late. Zara, a 31-year-old nurse, had just finished a brutal double shift. She got home at 2:15 a.m., exhausted, hungry, and more than anything done with people. Her flat was on the 11th floor of a high-rise in Manchester, the kind of building where neighbors keep their heads down and no one asks questions. She made tea, sat on the couch, and let the silence wrap around her. That's when she noticed the living room curtain was slightly open. Not wide, just enough to make her uneasy. She always kept it shut. She walked over and drew it closed again. As her fingers touched the fabric, a chill hit her spine. The glass on the window cold, colder than it should have been in July. She made a mental note to check the insulation later and went to bed. At 4:12 a.m., she woke up to a notification. Her phone was blinking. Front camera, motion detected. She checked it. A photo had been auto-snapped by the indoor camera app she rarely used anymore. It showed her living room empty, except the curtain was open again, and in the very corner near the glass, a blurred shape, pale, barely human, staring inward. Zara froze. Her bedroom door was closed. She hadn't heard anything, but that shape it was inside. She grabbed a flashlight and the kitchen knife and opened the door slowly. Nothing. The living room was still, curtain half open, no signs of a break-in, no footprints, no smudges, just a faint wet handprint on the inside of the glass. She didn't sleep that night. The next day, she had a technician uninstall the camera app. It was old and glitchy, maybe a prank, she told herself. But the technician paused mid-install. Miss, you said you lived alone, right? Zara nodded. Then why does the app log motion from inside the curtain every few nights? He showed her. For the past 4 weeks, at random times between 2 and 4 a.m., motion was recorded always behind the curtain, as if someone stood there still for hours. Zara moved out within 3 days. The last night before she left, she looked out the window one final time, just as she was about to pull the curtain shut. A reflection caught her eye. In the glass, a woman, standing inside the room, eyes black, smiling. Zara turned around. Nothing. But when the movers arrived that morning, they found one thing waiting behind the curtain. A handprint, fresh, still wet, facing inward.